Joining me right now is Wyoming Senator, Senate Foreign Relations Committee and Energy Committee member John Barrasso. Senator, your state is also seeing an increase in cases now. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I know that at one point you were really looking at the economic impact as even more hurtful than the actual health care issue. What would you say about the state of play today?
Well, I was in Wyoming this weekend. We continue to reopen smartly. We're doing it safely. We know what we need to do in terms of distancing and masks and proper hygiene. And what you take a look at the numbers across the country, there are some spikes. It's a concern, but not a crisis. We're not turning back. We need to continue getting people back to work. We need to get our schools open, our kids back to school, protect the most vulnerable, and then develop that vaccine that is going to help protect us into the future, Maria.
So what do you want to see in terms of the economic, how the economy plays out here? Do you want to see more stimulus? Where are we in terms of the economic recovery?
Well, you saw the job numbers from last month, and that has been significant. We're going to get job numbers again on Thursday, and that'll be telling as to how well we're doing with getting people back to work. The numbers have been good with consumer spending as well. All those things are very important. People also need to have this sense of confidence that they can go out and spend money and do the sorts of things that they want to do, and so that will be a telling statistic as well. I think critical is getting our kids back to school. That makes it a lot easier for parents to go to work.
Do you think we will see another stimulus package at some point?
Well, in terms of this, so at this point, we're saying we're going to take a reassessment after the 4th of July. A lot of money has already been sent out. There's still a lot that has not yet gone out. So we will take a look and say, do we need to do more or not? At this point, if we do, I would say we need to be focused on things that are going to make a long-term impact for our country: roads, bridges, highways, infrastructure, getting people back to work. Those are jobs that will develop in every state and are ready to go right now. So that's part of it. In addition, what we're seeing is help wanted signs all across the country. I went to a store in Wyoming that was closed, and they have help wanted signs outside, and they're not open because they can't find workers because of this perverse incentive that's right now built into our unemployment insurance, these bonus payments of $600.
Right.
That expires the end of July, as you know. But right now, some people are getting paid more to stay home than they are to work.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Philip Wegman, jump in.
Senator Barrasso, Phil Wegman of Real Clear Politics. Pandemics complicate elections with the likely increase in mail-in ballots. Do you think that we should be preparing for a delay in election results come November?
Well, I think that's a very good point. You take a look at some of the primaries that have been held with a lot of mail-in ballots. I think they still haven't declared the winner in the Democrat primary in Kentucky, which was a week ago, because they're counting the ballots there. But yet that whole system seemed to work pretty well. They just don't have the results yet. Other states, and it sounds like Georgia, didn't go as well with the voting in the mail-in ballots. I think by November, people are going to be better prepared to deal with it across the board. In Wyoming, we sent out to all voters, the Secretary of State did, a request for an absentee ballot for our primary so people can vote absentee if they like. The polls will also be open with social distancing. So it's up to each state to make the decision. But you're right, it may take a while to get the final results.
So, Senator, each state makes it the decision on whether or not to do mail-in voting. I mean, where do we stand on that? Because the AG, William Barr, keeps saying that mail-in ballots open the floodgates of fraud. Are we going to see more mail-in ballots in this upcoming presidential election?
Well, there is a history in the past of fraud in elections, and certainly mail-in ballots can contribute to that. But every state makes its own decisions whether they have vote by mail or not, when actually early voting starts. Every state makes that decision. Some don't have early voting. Some have a couple of weeks of early voting. Some have up to 7, 8, or 10 weeks of early voting. So it is a state-by-state decision. And then in terms of the ballot counting, when they receive the ballots, when it's postmarked, those are all state-by-state decisions.
Okay. We want to ask you about investigating the deaths of American soldiers, Senator, because President Trump is pushing back on a New York Times report that said that Russian intelligence paid Taliban-linked militias in Afghanistan to kill American and British soldiers. The report also claims that the Trump administration was briefed about this in late March, but has yet to authorize a response. The president tweeted yesterday that that's not true. He says nobody briefed or told me, Vice President Pence, or Chief of Staff Mark Meadows about the so-called attacks on our troops in Afghanistan by Russians, as reported through an anonymous source by the fake news New York Times. Everybody's denying it, and there have not been many attacks on us. Senator, what do you say?
Well, you know, I went to Afghanistan with President Trump for Thanksgiving to be with the troops. If he had heard that this had happened, I think this isn't something he would ever tolerate. He would want to retaliate. When I think about Russia, this is, I mean, it's very disturbing, but it's not surprising. This is who Vladimir Putin is. He's cunning, he's opportunistic, he's aggressive. Look, this is a guy that cheats on the nuclear arms deals. He tries to undermine our elections. He uses energy as a weapon. All of those things. So nothing that Vladimir Putin has done would surprise me, but I just cannot imagine President Trump knowing and not acting on this. He would want to retaliate, and it would need to be something that would be forceful as well as punishing.
All right. You mentioned infrastructure a moment ago. The House of Representatives, we know, is set to vote on the $1.5 trillion infrastructure bill this week. The bill aimed to stimulate the economy and add jobs amid this coronavirus pandemic. You have your own bipartisan infrastructure bill in the Senate, Senator. Tell me about that. What's most important in a bill, and will this head to the president for signage?
Well, you were right when you said the word bipartisan. The bill that we have in the Senate passed the Senate committee 21-0. It's something that the president has supported, mentioned it in his State of the Union, and it's something that on my committee Bernie Sanders has voted in favor of. It gets money to the states immediately, the things that will do the rebuilding of our nation and get people to work. What the House has passed is really a testament to their love affair with red tape and the Green New Deal. It is a road to nowhere. They left the Republicans completely out of it. There's nothing bipartisan about it. It is completely partisan. So if there is an additional bill, a recovery bill for our nation, I think that this ought to be included as part of it. What we've done in the Senate in a bipartisan way to get people to work and get projects built in ways that can be done faster, better, cheaper, smarter, and safer. All of those things are included in the Senate bill.
And it's also something the country needs badly, by the way. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Great to be with you.
Senator John, and to you, Senator John Barrasso joining us. Much more ahead.